Hey, welcome to the Trash Picture Show. Growing up, the first console we had was an NES. Now, at the time, I was very young and I didn't really have the skill or the know how to play the games. I did enjoy the games, I did play them, but I wasn't good. I could never complete them. And it was mainly my brother's kind of thing growing up. But I did play it. But for me, my console growing up was the Sony PlayStation, which I think came out in '96, and I started to accumulate a very large collection. And here's my collection, so I'm just going to show it to you. First off, we have Crash Bandicoot. This is Sony's kind of mascot for the PlayStation. Really cool 3D platformer. I think they wanted to copy Super Mario World with this, and it's a good game, but I don't think it was something that could compete with the likes of Sonic and Mario and such forth. Naughty Dog were the company behind this, which I find very interesting. Really good game and worth checking out. Next up, we have Dino Crisis from Capcom, same team behind the Resident Evil games, and you play a commando called Regina, and you're going through a facility taking on dinosaurs. There is a very similar play kind of system to it. It's a tank control, so you're just you have to you can't shoot and walk at the same time. Cool selection of dinosaurs, velociraptors, compies, T-Rexes, and a nice array of weapons. Cool female protagonist and fairly gory as well, so worth checking out. Next up, we have Resident Evil Survivor, a light gun game, and it's set during the events of Resident Evil 2. It's all right. If you like light gun games, it's okay, but by and large, it's not the greatest Resident Evil game. Next up, we have Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. This one's pretty cool. It puts forward the whole kind of Nemesis is a creature which continuously hunts you through the story, and it's very like the other Resident Evil stories. Get from point A to point B, kill zombies, and escape. I think this game, Resident Evil 2, is actually a superior game for replayability. You have two scenarios with two characters. The story of Resi 2 coincides with the story of Resident Evil 3, and it's the fall of Raccoon City. So you can play Leon in the first part and Claire in the second, or if you want to switch things up, you can play Claire in the first part and Leon in the second. So you can mix up the scenarios with the characters. You also get two extra characters to play as: a Umbrella Commando called Hunk and a piece of tofu with a knife named Tofu. Very cool game. Put the shits up me as a kid, and I think this is the best of the original PlayStation Resident Evil games. Now going to the original. The original Resident Evil, really kind of iconic for its time, and it was, I think, one of the first kind of major console survival horrors. You essentially play a group of soldiers going to a mansion on the outskirts of Raccoon City to investigate some nefarious goings on, and you end up taking on zombies and monsters. And if you are a survival horror fan, well worth a look. Next up, Spawn the Eternal. It's not a bad game. It's a beat 'em up. It's an exploration beat 'em up where you play as Al Simmons, aka Spawn, and you go through different dimensions trying to locate kind of relics and things like that to gain your soul back, and you fight monsters from the comic. And yeah, if fun fact, if you have this game and you put it into your CD player, the last track is the audio commentary from Todd McFarlane, so it's good for that. That was actually cool about the PlayStation. If ever you wanted to listen to the soundtrack, you could just pop the disc into a CD player and it would play the track listings. Spider-Man, one of the first kind of major Spider-Man games that lets you have a bit of exploration. This one wasn't as open world as prior Spider-Man games, but it's still pretty cool and well worth a look. Dune, the RTS, based on the sci-fi novel, and very difficult. I find it not as fun as other RTSs. It's from the creators of Command and Conquer, so that's pretty cool. and there's live action cut sequences. My brother ended up picking up a number of sports games, and we all always ended up, everyone in their house ended up with a FIFA game. I think it's this one that had Robbie Williams sound his song. Uh, I think it's Only Us. That was the song that was on it, and it was used to play over and over if you didn't press the start menu. Next up, we have GTA London. That's an expansion pack for GTA 1. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. You play GTA. The original GTA was kind of a top-down overlook game, and yeah, you kind of look down over the city, and this one had a very 60s kind of vibe and theme. Next up, we have GTA 2. This one I'm not too gone on because I just didn't like the control system, and some of the weapons and vehicles were a lot more finicky in comparison to the original GTA, which is an awesome game. Definitely dated now by now standards, but it is interesting to play this and then look at the current generation GTA games and see how far the games have come. I thought this was amazing when it originally came out. You're just driving around like robbing stores and gunning people down and running people over, and it was pretty fun for its time, but it certainly aged. This is awesome. Metal Gear Solid. Hideo Mijima's Konami's Metal Gear Solid. This, you play Snake, Solid Snake, and he is sent to Shadow Moses Island to stop a bunch of terrorists. And it has action, espionage, and intrigue, and it is wicked. I marathoned the shit out of this game when I got it. I got a end of it, and yeah, it was bastard hard. If you get a chance and you have a PlayStation, this is an essential to pick up. Metal Gear Solid is a must. What else we got? Actual Hockey. I picked this up in the Thrifties for like, I think 50 cents. Pretty fun if you like your sports games. The actual games are pretty good, and you get different teams and different leagues and stuff. So if you're from Canada or somewhere, maybe you might enjoy this game. Driver. This is kind of an homage to the kind of 70s Steve McQueen crime movies, and this, like the latter GTA games, had you driving around in a kind of more cinematic fashion. The second one had you getting out of the car. This one doesn't. But yeah, it's a really fun game. And yeah, the Infogram's done a fantastic job with this game. So if you get a chance to pick it up. Next up, speaking of driving, Gran Turismo. Fantastic driving simulator with a massive array and selection of vehicles. I think, what is it, 290 licensed cars you can use in this game, and there is a really cool soundtrack. I think the Cardigans are on it, and a number of different artists, and if you like driving games, Gran Turismo is a must. Air Combat, kind of a bog standard kind of flight simulator. Fun, but it's no Galaga, I'll tell you that, or it's Turbo, Afterburner. It's no Afterburner, but still a fairly fun game. I'd said earlier on Crash Bandicoot was like the kind of proto kind of mascot for Sony's PlayStation, and then in stepped Lara Croft. Everyone loved Lara Croft. Lara Croft 2, pretty cool. Exploration, she's a badass female kind of Indiana Jones character, and I think one of the bigger kind of, after Samus Aran from the Metroid games, there hasn't been any real big kind of female protagonist until Lara Croft. She was an English aristocrat with a kind of Indiana Jones like tendencies. This one took you to the Great Wall of China, took you to Venice, took you to Tibet, Shangri-La. You fought goons, you fought animals, you fought dragons and monsters. Pretty cool game, and if you get a chance, check it out. Original Tomb Raider, pretty cool. As I said before, Lara was the kind of flagship mascot for PlayStation for a while. She has certainly fallen from grace, but by and large, it is cool that there was this kind of female protagonist that women could look up to and stuff. And you had this kind of badass explorer doing all this badass shit. Yeah, Tomb Raider game's pretty awesome. Next up, we have the Bastard Hard Lost World Jurassic Park. I had done a kind of overview of this in my Lost World kind of movie review. This one, it's fun, but you need to be a skilled gamer to play it. Lets you play a number of dinosaur species and 2 human characters. You play as the Compy, Velociraptor, and T-Rex, and you play as Dieter Sturck and Sarah Harding. Wide array of enemies, and there's little bonuses and stuff you can get if you collect all the DNA strands. But this is a fucking awesomely hard game. If you get a chance, play it. But yeah, you'll be squeezing the controller in frustration. Next up, we have Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. Awesome game. Eidos Interactive done a wicked job with this. I remember getting this on a demo and then being like, oh shit, I gotta play this. I think my brother got it for me to finish. I played it and I then cheated, and as a result, the cheat was to give me all the powers of the other vampires, and as a result, I could go anywhere, but I didn't know where to go next. So I kind of fucked myself over in that. Artistically, amazing, beautiful game. Gameplay wise, amazing, beautiful game, and voice acting, awesome. Next up, Hexen. It's essentially a medieval version of Doom, where you can be a mage, a barbarian, or a knight, I think. And yeah, it's a dungeon crawler with like monsters and such forth. But yeah, Hexen's pretty cool. Tekken, awesome fighting game. I had played Tekken 1 at my cousin's house, and I actually, it was a demo. It was a demo of Tekken 1, and then I found out they made Tekken 2. Wicked game. Favorite character to play is probably Yoshimitsu, failing that Jack or Prototype Jack. If you have a PlayStation, I think it should be legally demanded that you get Tekken 2. Next up, we have X-Men Mutant Academy. Fighting game with X-Men. Pretty fun, enough said. I also have X-Men Academy 2. More characters, couple more features. Pretty good all in all. Dead or Alive. I remember playing a demo of this, and the kind of main feature of the game was that the women's boobs bounced up or down. You could put an age restriction on it and it'd stop, but if you put it up to 99, they'd flop all over the fucking place. But yeah, the first Dead or Alive game, pretty fun. Very hard though, but sure, that seemed to be the progression of that series of games. If you have a PlayStation, recommend getting this. Next up, Cool Borders 4. I think I got this off my cousin. Fun, but very, 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 very hard. If you're in sports games, pick it up. Parasite Eve, another Resident Evil-esque survival horror, but this has more kind of inclinations to John Carpenter's The Thing. And yeah, check out the price. It was $39.99 back in the day in Roxy Records. So wow, Jesus. Yeah, if you like survival horrors, check out Parasite Eve. NFL Club 97. I do not know how I get. Oh, I got it for €1 in a charity shop. Haven't played it. I'm not a fan of American football games because I'm not a fan of American football. Can't really say much about it. Oh, Die Hard Trilogy. Love this game. This game has some diversity to it. The first part is a light gun game. No, first part is a third-person shooter. Second part is a light gun game. And third part is a driving simulator. Each part represents the original Die Hard movies. So the third-person shooter takes place in Nakatomi Plaza and has you taking on Hans Gruber's goons. Second one is at Dallas Terminal on Christmas. And the third one has you in New York with a very, very bad imitation of Samuel Jackson going, "Please let me drive." But if you have a PlayStation, definitely pick up Die Hard Trilogy. Okay, last leg. Medal of Honor Underground. The second Medal of Honor game for the PlayStation. You play, I think, a French actual character based on a historical resistance member, Jeanne Magnon, I think. And she was part of the French resistance. Pretty cool because this one just doesn't have shooting people. You A bit of stealth is required. And yeah, the Medal of Honor games have certainly fallen from grace, and Call of Duty has taken the title out from under them. But back in the day, Medal of Honor was a really good franchise. Ah yes, Abe's Odyssey. Now here's a fucking bastard hard game, but it is a beautiful looking game. The design is fantastic, and there are some pretty funny kind of humorous bits. And Abe is so damn likable. This game, Abe's Odyssey, is like it was an Oddworld was a development team, and they made it, and it had a very kind of claymation, stop motion kind of vibe to it. It's like something you'd see on MTV back in the day before they showed reality TV shite. But yeah, no, I love this game, and the character Abe was just so lovable. You hated when he died. It actually hurt you. It affected you. But if you have a PlayStation, track down, if you can, it's probably going to cost you an arm and a leg, track down Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey. Next up, Rayman. I like this game. It's Ubisoft, and it's a great little platformer. Nice kind of colourful thing. And if you've young kids who like maybe want to play the PlayStation, this is something to let them play. Very colourful, very kind of interesting character. His hands kind of float and can punch and do stuff, and just really nice design. I think it's a French company behind it, and it really shines through the kind of creativity. Rayman, definitely check this game out. My brother's favourite game from '97. It's a Formula 1 game. I used to love pissing off my brother by driving the opposite way around the track, and the commentary on the guys, there used to be commentary running in the background as you played, and the two commentators are like, oh my god, in all my years of Formula 1 I've never seen this. He's actually driving the one way around the track. And yeah, definitely worth checking out. Next up we have Urban Chaos. From the same company behind Tomb Raider. This is kind of a beat 'em up in the likes of Streets of Rage, that has you bombing around London and taking on perps and driving vehicles and using different types of weapons. Fun game, awesome game. If you're like kind of crime and action and kind of beat 'em up games, Urban Chaos, definitely want to look out for. Fade to Black. This is a weird game. This is it's a sci-fi game that is a sequel to a series of PC games. I forget what the original PC game was, but it is essentially a sequel to it, where you are a kind of human survivor, and you're in a prison planet taken over by the morphs. I think they're these lizard men that can morph into people, but yeah, you're on a prison, New Alcatraz on the moon, and you have to escape from it, and very difficult, but if you can master it, fair fucks. Next up we have Soviet Strike. You're commandeering an Apache helicopter, and the original game I think was Jungle Strike. This Soviet Strike has you over Siberia, and you're like blowing up kind of Russian outposts and military bases, and you have to rescue a guy called, I think, Max, who has green hair. I remember playing it. I haven't played it in ages, but I remember the coolest thing I thought about, well, I thought it was cool at the time, was these live action FM sequences where you'd get briefed by a general and like, oh, we give you these new missiles, they can do this and that. And I'm like, oh, cool. Felt like I was actually in the cockpit of an Apache helicopter. If you get a chance, definitely check it out. Next up we have Die Hard Trilogy, Viva Las Vegas. Essentially a repeat of the first Die Hard game, but you're in Las Vegas and you're John McClane, and you've Jesus Christ, $29.99, and I got it for a fiver. You're basically John McClane is visiting a friend of his who's opened up a prison in Las Vegas, and while the other one focused on the three separate movies, this one has the one narrative, but played through the third person, the light gun, and the driving game. Not as good. I don't know why. Just, I didn't find it as fun. Another favourite of my brother's, Colin McRae Rally. Very cool rally simulator. Very hard, but it's fairly true to the whole kind of rally experience. You do have a tutorial section with Colin McRae where he's in a very thick Scottish accent. He's like giving out to you and stuff, and if you mess about, he's like, stop messing about. turn that car around, and it's like, Jesus Christ, he's getting pissy very easily. Nice selection of Formula One cars to drive. Obviously, there's the Subaru, the choice of McRae. But yeah, fun game, difficult game. Not for everyone. But if you like rally games, check that one out. My first and favourite game, Alien Trilogy. Loved this game. My brother got it for me for my 15th birthday, and I played the living shit out of it. It's a first-person shooter, and it has not aged well, but if you're an Alien fan, you'll definitely enjoy the kind of nods and stuff to the Alien movies. But what can I say about it? It's fun. You've a nice selection of weapons. The enemies are in these really kind of sprite kind of animations, but the dead animations, when you die, these animations come up and they're pretty gratuitous. If you get a chance, definitely check out the Alien Trilogy, which was later followed on by Alien Resurrection. This one had a different company behind it, Argonauts, I think, and the graphics were a lot better. And the game, by and large, is a cool game. A hell of a lot better than the movie it's based on. You play 4 different characters: Ripley, Call, DeStefano, and Christie, and the job is to make it from one part of the Auriga to the other and get aboard the Betty. You fight different types of aliens, from facehuggers to warriors to drones to the Queen to the newborn, and there's a nice selection of weapons. You also fight some humans as well. So, yeah, this is a great game to get. Very hard. There's only several levels, but they're big fucking levels, and it's a difficult game. I also remember one thing was, I thought it was cool to begin with. There's a thing called an auto dock. So if you get face hugged, you have a limited amount of time to have the face hugger removed via the auto dock. But yeah, it was a bastard trying to find one of those things. But yeah, definitely check out Alien Resurrection. Next up, we have Street Fighter Alpha. Cool game, but if I play this against my housemate, he kicks my arse every fucking time. He suffers from Street Fighter thumb, as he calls it. 31 playable characters, and there's a number of modes. The artwork is pretty cool, and it's fairly heavy because there's like a fucking chunky booklet with it. If you're having a couple of beers and a couple of mates over, I highly recommend Street Fighter Alpha. Tenchu 2, Birth of the Stealth Assassins. Very cool stealth game. I don't think the kind of mechanics and the technology was ready quite just yet, but the Tenchu games, they were good. They were a nice paving stone to other stealth games. I think Metal Gear done a better job of it than this, but still fun enough. Frustrating at times, but fun. Next up we have Necronomicon, The Dawning of Darkness. I've played this twice. It's a point and click game, and I got it in actually fairly mint condition there not too long back. It's a Lovecraftian storyline where you're looking for the reason of your friend's insanity and why he killed himself, and you go deeper and deeper into Lovecraftian plot, and it gets a bit dull. It should be a bit more fun and enjoyable than it is, but alas, it's not. But if you're a Lovecraft fan, maybe pick it up. And lastly, the awesome Mortal Kombat trilogy. All 3 games and a load of fighters. I could never pull off the fatalities, but that's always the case with Mortal Kombat. Favourite characters to use, I think, would be Scorpion. I love Scorpion. Everyone always says Sub-Zero, but fuck Sub-Zero. Scorpion rocks. So, yeah, that's all my PlayStation games. I hope you weren't bored to death with this video. And if you have any memories about the Sony PlayStation, leave them in the comments below. Or if you have a favourite PlayStation game, leave them in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and have a good. Take care. Bye now.